Good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are in this world. Our best wishes from London, a city so filled with joy due to the last weekend's Coronation's Day. It was a typical London rainy day, but the day before was a beautiful sunny and rainy day, making me feel like tears of joy. King Charles is not my king by country of birth, but is my king as country of adoption. I've been living here only lately in the last 16 years, but I'm grateful for this opportunity to live here, and so I do promote this wonderful country's most precious values, one of which is the monarchy. And here I go on an idea just now to make maybe a podcast speaking about kings and queens all over the world. Why are they so appreciated and so loved? But now, back to my purpose, finances for everyone, my deep wish to help everyone understand that money matters matter now more than ever. I just couldn't make it all on my own. Luckily, I got an old friend that decided to join forces in my mission to bring to your attention the current financial issues worth hearing another opinion about. I am, in this way, inaugurating a new feature of my channel, the podcast. So here I am with a hopefully longer term or as long as practical collaboration, Mr. Gregory Porter, some kind of a wolf of Wall Street, or better said, a wolf of London Bullion Market Association, the institution that still regulates the price of gold for the whole world, although this world is ever changing and dividing lately. I always admired him for his stamina and strength of character, a true English gentleman that, well, accepted to come and share his valuable opinion with us, Mr. Gregory Porter.
Thank you. Nice to be here with your audience.
So, Greg, let's get to the bottom of this thing about the banks. The failure, the worry, an intuitive feature, if you have any, or I'm sure you have at least an idea. Please, go ahead and be my guest.
We don't know the future. Nobody knows the future. Not even those that have a big and meaningful word in where the banks are to go. I mean, those at the top that has the absolute power, because it depends on how the market answers to what they plan. And it depends on how each and every one of us answers to the plan. For example, when the central banks raise interest rates, it means that they expect people to slow down in spending. Yet if people are desperate to spend, and they would spend even on expensive credit. This is just an example. Let us say a call to all of us, especially to those that don't know. You are important. You matter. You just by spending or not spending according to this example, you vote for your next financial move. You vote for the inflation to rise or fall. You vote for a currency to become stronger or not by using it. If you ever felt your vote for a candidate didn't matter, maybe it is true. Maybe it didn't really matter, but the markets cannot get away from how money moves. Markets are shaped by the spenders. Don't underestimate your vote. So I invite all your audience to be part of this financially changing world and vote. By this vote, I mean confidently making a choice in their financial behavior for what they really want, not just following the crowd.
Okay, so if we want the future we want, we have to take a stand rather than just playing the sitting ducks, isn't it?
Yes, we need to wake up, get up, shut up, put up, and be alert about financial matters, especially in these times of change and transition. We are going through the digital revolution. Not blood genocide. This revolution doesn't bring you to your knees, literally, but it is just as compelling. What do people do during the revolution? Bewildered, try to understand, and look desperately for information to make a whole picture. We, those that see things from the financial point of view, are compelled, and so should you and your audience.
So, what is this failure that bank after bank is going through? What is your explanation? We heard all sorts of explanations, but I'd like to hear yours.
People should not be worried that the banks don't have money for them because this money is endorsed by the government. I mean, the national currencies in general. The government is the one that is responsible to give us the cash we deposit in the banks. The government is perfectly aware of the level of credit in society, and it controls this level of credit, or at least tries to control it. The government, unfortunately, doesn't have many instruments that it can use to control this credit, but only the interest rates. That is why you can see very clearly by the interest rates that go up or down, tells if the GOVT encourages or discourages spending and or credit. The problem is that sometimes maybe GOVT need to increase spending but not the credit, or increase credit and decrease spending. And here we have a problem. It has tried to solve this problem by other more complicated instruments like Mr. Biden used the emergency reserves to keep the oil prices down, etc. But I insist one way you all can communicate with what is the central bank expecting is to see interest rates. And
Wait a minute, please. You just said an idea that I came across right now. So the banks are communicating with us and they expect us to communicate with them. That is a very new idea. I didn't know that. I've been so insensitive until now. I never thought that someone is trying desperately to communicate with me and they expect an answer from me. Let me just sink in a little bit. So,
yes, banks are communicating with everyone. That is why I said, you matter. All of you matter. All of you matter, and now with the digital revolution, our communication with financial institutions will be even tighter and more effective. Do you have any idea what new forms of money will mean? It is like the revolution that enhanced you, the YouTubers, to express yourself. Before you could express yourself only if you had connections with a television studio or a media institution, you had to put up with a lot of noise and promote their point of view and work years until you could get your piece of cake, your opportunity to spread your message. Now you can independently have your own YouTube channel and promote your own views without having to promote someone else's views for the opportunity to be put in the same basket as yours. In the same way, digital money gives you the opportunity to become your own bank. No more banks. Each and every one of us becomes a small private bank directly linked to the central bank authority. Here's the BDC, the future money to solve a big problem. The programmed feature will increase this communication between central banks and the public. In a world of banks running currencies as good as gold, banks will always prosper. But the banks are crumbling because they handle a currency that includes credit, that accommodates credit. And who is responsible for this credit? Those that endorse it, those that stimulate it, those that allow it, those that encourage it. Banks don't endorse the currency. All bank problems come from credit. Eliminate the credit and the banks don't struggle anymore. Banks are not our problem. Our problem is the credit. And the problem is that the savers and the savers and the credited ones are banked by the same banks. So people that are rather savers should go rather to private banks, banks that use currencies backed by commodities or money market funds or investment funds, because these are not dealing with credit at all. So they don't get any crisis. And people that need credit should be served by banks specializing in credit. This is what will the CBDC do good, taking the people that need credit out of the same pool as those that are savers. when the CBC will expire term. If and when, I'm not saying it will. It means the issuer expects us to spend detached from the credit policy, now controlled separately. So this idea of putting an expiring date occasionally is very useful, actually. Now, taking away the savers from the same pool as the credited ones is not fair because the need for credit will become more acute. But keeping them both in the same pool is practical only as long as we don't take more credit than the funds available. We instead took on far too much credit than the funds available. So we need to confront this situation. There's no more time to dream. We will find a way to get around it. We have to get around it. We have to get around it now. And that means that it is time to address the situation and protect our savers from our own will to accommodate the credit, more than the availability of funds. This is what the financial institutions are working on at the moment.
So how does the inflation sit with the future of the banks?
All this gold bought by banks all around the world means dropping the dollar, dropping more dollars, more and more dollars dropped, which means less and less demand for the dollars. It is true that 50 years ago, every country wanted to own dollars, and it was vital to hold dollars for the opportunity to make foreign trade. It is like today, internet connects with the world. 50 years ago, having dollars meant you had access to worldwide materials to feed your business and worldwide markets to sell your goods. But lately, with the digital revolution, many transactions have been only calculated in dollars and not actually bought in dollars. This less and less demand for the dollar, along with the credit launched in the dollar financial realm, means slight but consistent and considerable inflation. And here we are, we absolutely need to think about alternative currencies.
Oh yes, I do agree with you that we need alternative currencies, and definitely these alternative currencies should be digital currencies. I know digital currencies that are reliable and that are backed by commodities, but the only currencies heavily advertised, and when I say heavily advertised, I mean they can become candidates for being lead currencies, which means to be currencies used by more and more people. What do you think about cryptocurrencies? Can cryptocurrencies become lead alternative currencies?
Cryptocurrencies are an alternative indeed, but is not the best one, because not everyone has the speculative bug, and you have to watch its patterns and make sure you are not forced to sell when it is cheaper than you bought. Some people don't want to watch the money. They want currencies that they know the value would be stored, and they can focus on other things in life, rightfully so. Crypto. It is a 2008 invention. It was an absolutely fantastic invention, but it was in 2008. We are in 2023. 2008 was the dawn of the digital revolution, and crypto was one of the most exciting things. But in the meantime, the digital revolution was nearly consumed, and Bitcoin appeared in 2008, and it is same. Well, China started their digital coin adventure in 2011, and they have been through so many ups and downs and trying this and trying that and achieving another feature and a next version that made it transferable via near field communication and a next version that includes all the unbanked public. And they studied the credit via peer-to-peer lending platform. What did Bitcoin do other than advertise itself and grow in price? We cannot even say it grew in value. It grew in price because in 15 years it didn't achieve much. Tesla cars shares increased in value because it was a demanded car on the market. Cryptocurrencies at the moment solve only our interest to risk for a better return. And it is a problem because China became a superpower by solving a huge problem, offering cheap and competitive labor, not by putting away money hoping for better returns. The United States of America 100 years ago became what China is today due to the same means of producing and producing and producing and producing for the whole world. Impoverished by 2 world wars, not by blocking money in an account that will give a better return. Investing money in nothing that can bring by chance a better return later is not the biggest problem of humankind, and it will not be rewarded accordingly. If you buy crypto, you pay nothing but the opportunity to speculate, just like you buy chips at the casino, firmly convinced that future buyers would want to buy chips at the same casino. We have a big casino called Bitcoin, another casino called XRP, another casino called Ethereum, another casino called Altcoin. I know San Salvador accepts Bitcoin as legal tender, and yes, it is a great thing for them because this move flooded their country with tourists, and digital revolution allows the currency exchange very rapidly, and they take the payments and transfer immediately in other currencies and for short term to make sure there will not be any fluctuations that can bring losses. Let us make it clear. For the short term, any currency is suitable to be spent because any institution that registers a coin endorses it. So it is an endorsed value. What did El Salvador do? Was committed to having opened accounts in Bitcoin to process Bitcoin, and it is an alternative currency. Don't imagine that the Salvadorian people throw their money and move to Bitcoin. In El Salvador, Bitcoin is an alternative legal tender. Their messages come to El Salvador to spend and increase our tourism income, and we process your Bitcoin. It did a great thing for that country. Other countries have large tourism avenues. They don't need to open accounts in Bitcoin and financially engineer around surviving the Bitcoin fluctuations in case of an unexpected drop like the well-known 2020, one when Bitcoin dropped from 60,000 to 20,000. But I never heard Bitcoiners speaking about how they're going to deal with the credit. I never heard any Bitcoiners speaking about how to bank the unbanked people. And Bitcoin has some serious issues that need to be addressed. And everyone advertised about Bitcoin, they just make poetry. It's the new gold, it is as good as gold, it is the future, and if you don't understand it, doesn't mean that it is not. We don't need a currency that is as good as gold from a certain point of view. We need a currency that solves some problem, which, by the way, gold does. BRICS countries, maybe they can think about a currency as good as gold, but we, the Western countries, need to think about the credit. 15 years was more than enough to perfect this coin, but nobody perfected this coin. It was perfected and improved the advertisement and the displayed faith. The only improvements I learned about Bitcoin were that it was implemented in places where they found a climate-friendly solution for the energy consumption needed for its mining, or that the currency exchange is more comfortable, but nothing near or regarding the big financial problems humanity has, like credit, which is a massive issue for the Western world. The cryptocurrency's main feature is the opportunity for increasing in return, which means you don't really want to spend it. So in a world of Bitcoiners, we will have to look for an alternative currency for spending. Bitcoin is not money, it is an investment gig, and spending Bitcoin is possible because the digital revolution makes it possible to spend everything that is tokenized, every asset that is registered. The Bitcoin token is, well, by now, only a casino chip, when Bitcoin will put behind also a commodity that guarantees value, not only a high probability of higher returns. That is a probability, not a certitude of better returns. When Bitcoin's endeavors to address massive financial issues of humanity, then Bitcoin can compete for a massive role in the financial market. At the moment, it is competitive in the investing markets only. Now we have to realize that crises or upheavals or recessions or global financial crisis, these things are affecting us all, so we cannot talk anymore about what we can do to put better ourselves. But we have to consider what is better for all of us, because in this global financial crisis means getting to the bottom of the bag, and those that foresaw this global financial crisis, earlier did what they had to do to put themselves right, and so we have to be more sensitive to the advice that is more appealing to the collective good. Up until a couple of years ago, the finances were not of any concern. Unfortunately, the technology forces us to learn and learn and learn. We are forced to learn to invest, and we are forced to learn about our financial issues, but things will settle once we understand where the new financial currents go. And after that, we can take our focus from money and think about other more important things in our life. The reason why the poorest people hit the crisis the worst is not because they are poor, but because they are uninformed. So please inform yourself.
I can only say, wow, Greg, thank you very much for everything you shared with us today. I hope you enjoyed as well. He's indeed a force to be reckoned with, and we wait for him to come again in the next podcast sometime. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. And I see you in the next podcast.
And there are many things to say, but maybe a next time. It was a pleasure to speak here and hear you on a further call. I wish you all the best to your success, to your achievements, to your financial confidence and dignity that will come only by giving attention and observation to the situation that is under our noses. We are gone past the information revolution. We are in the digital revolution. One cannot not find information. They wanted big hug and firm handshake to all of you, my friends.
And thank you, the listeners of my first podcast ever, for giving value to this podcast due to the way YouTube evaluates the interaction between the audience and the content creators. I'm looking forward to provide more content for those on the same wavelength as me. All the best.